Welcome to Who's Your Caddy? I'm your host, Kelly Singh. In this episode, we'll be discussing the Players' Championship, and my co-host, Adam, will give us some background on the course, and both of us will share some of our favorite picks with you for your DFS lineup this week. So let's get into it. Hello. This podcast is meant to help you take your DFS golf game and maybe some of your prop bets to the next level. So whether you're a beginner or a seasoned pro, we hope that you'll find this podcast helpful. I am working in California this week, so this is my luxurious bedroom. But before I start rambling about how lovely the weather is right now in California, let me bring in my co-host, the cheese to my crackers, Mr. Adam Hallas. Mr. Hallas, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. How you doing?
Good. We have the Players. Huge.
It is huge.
It's one of my favorites.
Why is it your favorite?
I don't know. I just really like it. I like the field. I like the excitement. It's the Players. Did you just yawn?
I was like, oh, that's a great explanation. I like Players. I was at my parents this weekend. My dad goes, I love the Players Championship. It's like the one I look forward to outside of the Masters. And at TPC Sawgrass, how can you not? It is the gentleman's version of the Phoenix Open of TPC Scottsdale.
Because we are not very gentlemanly and ladylike in Phoenix.
No, that was, I'm still scarred from that. But we have TPC Sawgrass. We have the storied course of hole number 17, Island Green. We have hole number 16, par 5, which is the easiest hole, I would say, almost on the PGA Tour, but we'll see. It is quite a perplexing course. While it is, I would say, in the middle of the range of hard to easy, we have water on every hole. So yeah, water is in play on every hole. So if there's a player that you think you're like, oh, I just don't know. I don't know if I'm, should I go back and forth? Just put in your back of your head, does this person play well around water? Are they like a gremlin? Do they turn horribly wrong when they get wet? And do they not feed after midnight?
Those are all very good questions, which kind of plays into why accuracy is such a big deal this week. But there's more.
There is more. It is. And not only do we have water hazards on a lot of the holes, 100% of them, we also have 92 sand bunkers. 92. So there's going to be a lot of sand play this weekend. So if your player is good at scrambling, load them in. So yes.
Yes. I like it.
So should we get into the players?
We can get into the players.
Okay.
That works.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are a lot of key players that are over 10K this week, including Scottie Scheffler, who I will say has been on fire, but at 12 something, I'm like, holy smokes.
At 12 something, you're hoping he wins.
Yeah. If he doesn't win and you've paid up like that, yikes. But when I look at that top tier of 10K plus, the only one that I super feel any kind of emotion over might be former Players champion Justin Thomas at 10.6K. But the thing that I don't like, well, here's the things I do like. Former champion, and he's played well every other year on this course that he was not the former champion. But when we look at his play progressively and going into this season and bringing in this season's stats, his projections are just lower than I would like to see in comparison to the rest of this field. I mean, you have players in the low 8, high 7K range that are on par when we look at projections for this tournament with Justin Thomas at 10.6K. So how do you feel about that?
I like Justin Thomas, probably for the same reasons. He's done well in this course. This course or this tournament's been played here for quite some time. And so it is a pretty sticky course, meaning that course history does tend to play a bigger factor than all the others. So I like JT. The other guys I like are kind of around in this, I would say, pricing space, if you want to call it that, are Xander Schauffele and Victor Hovland. So the way I did my model was ball striking, accuracy off the tee, par 5 scoring, par 4 scoring, bogey avoidance, just to name a few.
But how do you feel about Justin Thomas and his projections, like being on par with somebody that's $2,000 to $3,000 less in salary cap?
Yeah, I can see that, but his floor is a lot higher than those people in the 7 to 8, and his ceiling's probably higher than those within that same price range. So that's why he's given a little bit of edge on the cost ratio. So
okay, all right, I can buy into that. I'm looking more. I have like a whole bunch in the more like the middle tier that I'm liking a whole lot better than the super expensive. My most expensive that I'm really liking so far is Shane Lowry, 9.1K on DraftKings. He's 10th in the field for total strokes gained, 5th in the field, strokes gained approaching with his approach. His accuracy, he's 8th in the field. He's so well-rounded. This year, he's been playing very well. In this tournament, he's placed 8th, tied for 13th, tied for 35th last year. So he plays well on this course, and going into this tournament, playing well and having course history, I feel pretty good about Shane Lowry.
I did too. I have him in my pool as well. At 91, his ownership right now is at 16%, which is probably going to be one of the higher owned golfers out there. But he does well putting on this type of greens, which are like Poa-annua greens. He does well on average to difficult courses, and it's in Florida, so there's a chance to win. So he does well on windy courses. He did great last week. And I think, he's one of the hotter players on tour. And so I think Shane Lowry is probably a pretty good bet to have. I mean, his last 2 tournaments, he's been in the top 5, Arnold Palmer and the Classic. I mean, it's hard to, his approach, he's been getting between 4 to 6 strokes on his approach. And his overall tee to green is between 5 and 10 strokes. So he's been playing out of his mind.
He has been playing out of his mind. I was just looking at rostership on most of my picks. And it looks like I'm kind of half and half. I don't have any like super outliers that are going to set you way apart, but that's very hard to do in this tournament. Actually, I have one, and I could talk about him now. Jump all the way to the bottom of my list, and we've got Chris Kirk. And the reason I've got him on here is because he is a very well-rounded player. He has every tool in his toolbox that is needed to win this tournament. He's playing well. He's on the rise, but he is terrible. He has terrible course history. I don't know that he's made a cut, but he's 7.6K. He's going to end up around 4% rostered. Can he get over the yips? What do you think about this?
So it goes back to my earlier statement. Does he feed after midnight? And does he turn into a gremlin if he gets wet?
Probably.
I mean, some courses turn that into us, like we turn into gremlins on certain courses. And so this might be his gremlin course.
Well,
hopefully,
that's great advice, because I mean, as silly and funny as it is really great advice, because if you look at everything other than this specific tournament course history, you're like, what the heck? Why hasn't this dude won?
And granted, now the odds could be in his favor this year. Like, right, the odds of him actually making a cut, because he's not made the cut for so long.
That's true.
It has to turn around at some point in time.
That's
But
true. Well,
it's a small percentage.
small percentage. That is my one outlier. Everybody else is around 8 or 9% rostership, and then 14 and 15% rostership, because a lot of people look at the same stats that we're looking at and want to get on the same page, because we all want to win. We've got Russell Henley, 8.6K on DraftKings. This dude, he's winning 6 events, made 6 cuts. One of them was a top 10, 2 of them top 25s, I believe. Tied for 13th, tied for 9th last year in this tournament. His accuracy, chef's kiss.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Henley looking really good in my book. But when we talk again, rostership, everybody loves Russell Henley this week as well. And you have already said, you're looking at maybe players who aren't on everybody's radar. Do you still like Russell Henley or no?
I like Russell Henley. I like I said, mentioned before, I like Hoagie, and he's still in my pool for multi-entry format.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, yeah, I'll still stick with Hoagie. And so I like Henley. I like Hoagie. I'm on the fence of Fleetwood. I know it's on your list. I don't think he made it into my pool. And let me look at my initial projections, and Fleetwood ranks on my particular pool. That doesn't mean that everyone has to have the same thing in their pool. He is way down there.
I know. I'm on the fence with Fleetwood as well. We both agree Henley. We both agree Hoagie. Hoagie happens to be 7.8K, which I really like. And I think that's why everybody likes him. Really great value. He has the most consistent, and it's a great course history. I mean, tying for 3rd last year. Prior to that, he's come in 33rd, 27th, 30th. That is solid finishing numbers. And he's first in this field on approach. So Tom Hoagie being at 7.8K, no wonder everyone's on board that train. Mm-hmm. But when we look at Fleetwood, in contrast, we're not talking about first in anything in this field. In fact, his stats against this field are pretty abysmal. However, he's a very well-rounded player, and he plays well on this course. The last 2 years, it was 27th and 25th, and then he was cut. And then I think I have a typo, but I know it was a better number than what I have there. So he plays well on this course. He's a well-rounded player, but his stats in general this season have really been abysmal.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, gross.
Gross.
So I'm on the fence about him too. 8.8K, that's kind of pricey to not be very sure about somebody. I'd much prefer Russell Henley at 8.6. And then we come to Siwoo Kim. Siwoo. Man, he's when you look at strokes gained, he's definitely on the rise. He's placed 9th in 2021. He had to withdraw in 22, tied for 27th in last year's tournament. He's not terribly overpriced. I feel really good about Siwoo Kim. I don't know. Do you like Siwoo?
I don't mind Siwoo. I'm just trying to look up where he is on my model. And again, not to say my model is the end all. But Siwoo is down there, I think, with Fleetwood.
Oh, that's rough. Well, here's why I like Siwoo. This little segment that I do every now and then so far this year was, if you're going to spend, why spend this when you can spend that? So if you're going to spend 10.6K on JT, why not spend 8K on Siwoo Kim? Siwoo has better odds to make the cut. 71% chance of making the cut to Justin Thomas' 68% to make the cut. And you may say, that's not a big deal. But that trend continues across top 20, top 10. But once we get to winning, if they overcome those odds, they both have a 2% chance of winning, which all the players in that top tier end up around the same, between a 2 and 4% chance of winning. Because if you make the cut and you make the top 20, then you all kind of even out there at the end. Right. He's also projected to bring in more fantasy points than Justin Thomas. And that to me is a little disturbing. If I'm going to pay all this money, make me some points.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy can win and we still don't get enough fantasy points. That's a fact. If he's not, he can still win and not have enough birdies or not have enough sand saves or have too many, bogeys, and his points suck. So if I'm going to pay up, I really want points.
That is true. Then I'll go back to the ceiling and floor method.
Okay.
I agree with you, but I'm going back to the ceiling and floor method that JT just probably has a little bit higher ceiling than Siwoo. And that's why that's in there.
So. I can agree. I just feel like it's so gross. His points total is so low that virtually, like, you can go down like 3 or 4 tiers and still find people that could outscore him theoretically. And this is all models based off of data, all numbers. It has nothing to do with heart or how they feel that day or anything like that. Or even if they're like on the rise and doing well, this is all like straight numbers. But when you look at it, it's like,
look, we just need him to show up to the first tee. That's all. Like like Lucas Glover, who's like, oh, I missed my texts, I missed my tee time, round 1. So I think just showing up is half the battle, and so I think if JT does that, he'll be good.
Okay, all right, I'll buy in. You have some other guys on your list, and I'm really happy to see some of them because some of them happen to be on my FSGA league. team, and
Yeah.
I happen to be currently in second place. So seeing these names makes me feel really good about maintaining that second place. Tell us who else you want to talk about this week.
Well, I broke these two out into kind of like the more, I would say, more expensive, but they're pretty inexpensive. So I have Harman, EVR, and Thigala. Now, Thigala doesn't have the greatest driving accuracy, but he does have good greens in regulation. He does have pretty good putting on this particular type of green. So I think he'll do okay. And so given that method on his approach and the way he's been playing lately, he got 6th in the Arnold Palmer. He was 37th in Genesis, 5th in the Phoenix Open. He hasn't missed a cut since the start of the year. We'll give him that. That's beginning of the season. But even before then, he was second in the Century. So I think he'll do well here. And at his price range of $8,700, I think it's a good buy. Next, I have Mr. Brian Harman, driving accuracy 65%, greens and regulation 66%, and then putts per round at 28. So he does well on these type of greens. His putting's been fantastic. Brian Harman hasn't missed a cut since June of last year.
Oh, wow. So,
I'll pay in for whatever his price is at $7,900. And he's got goodish course history here. He's been putting pretty decently. He's not going to get you in the top 10, but if you're paying up for Scottie and you got a couple of expensive guys in your pool, he's going to be nice round out individual. He's going to be Mr. Switzerland. He's not going to fuck up, but he's not going to get you much either. So, go on, Brian Harman. And then we have EVR. Again, driving accuracies just a titch under 60%. Greens and regulation, 71%. You can't beat that. His putting's been a little bit but he can definitely get it going when he wants to. He did okay. He lost a stroke at the Arnold Palmer. He came in second in the Classic, 8th of the Mexico Open, which is just a glorified putting contest. Overall, tee to green, he's been gaining 3 strokes. His last 10, he's been gaining 3 strokes. And he's only missed a cut once, and it was the Phoenix Open. He's probably drunk. Other than that, he hasn't missed a cut since August. So.
Right. You can't ask for more than that.
No, and I got some cheapo guys in there too. I got Chesson Hadley's my
I like him too.
What the fuck pick. And 70% greens in regulation, driving accuracy at 60%. He has great course history here. Chesson Hadley at 50, what was he at? 5,900? 5,700. But you know what? There's 4% people that have ownership on him. And so I think those outliers know what's up. He's got good course history here. He missed the cut at the Phoenix Open again. I would say he's probably drunk. But he's been in the top 30 for most of his play. His putting's been okay. He hasn't lost anything from tee to green. He's been pretty neutral. And at 5,900, again, if you're paying up for Scottie, let's say you're putting in Xander or JT, Hadley's your guy. So yeah, that's right.
Hadley. I thought you were like finishing a sentence. They said Hadley's a guy, and I was waiting for the rest of that.
Hadley's your guy.
Hadley's your guy. I like Chesson Hadley. I have Chesson Hadley. I have Thigala. I have Van Rooyen. So I love seeing those all on your list because it makes me feel really good about my odds there in that FSGA league. If you're playing in any leagues You can definitely take these picks, weigh them out. If you don't have a bench, like I have a league where there's no bench, you just choose the players you like best, your favorite 3. Definitely feel free to use our evaluations in any of those instances. And man, I really hope we have some good luck. Last week I was sick. I had 0 voice, which was amazing. I sent you a lovely recording where I was like, hello.
I know. I was trying to listen to it in the conference. I was like, what is he doing?
They're like, why is he listening to that sultry ASMR?
Yeah.
And you were in Vegas in your conference. Did you eat any good food?
I went to Galler's at New York. Pretty good steak and seafood place. It was okay. We went to Marimoto's sushi, which was in MGM Grand, which was fairly good. But we didn't go to like any Michelin star restaurants. Nothing like that.
You gotta like go down to like Aria for something like that.
Yeah.
That's okay. I think you did well for where you were situated.
Yeah, the Luxor's not exactly popping in vibrant.
That's so funny. Okay, well, I really enjoyed our show today. Hope everybody else, I hope you did too. Good luck out there. And we'll see you next week, I guess. Bye.